This is correct. I see the live button. I see the things at the bottom. My face isn't so big in the screen. It's fixed. Thank you guys for joining us live for our day 4 of the 5 keys to well-nourished motherhood. I had a little bit of a technical glitch there, so I hope that didn't confuse anybody with the notifications. But today I have invited Anna Herendeen on to discuss all things menstrual cycle. She is definitely a professional in the realms of hormones. She says that she helps you to biohack your hormone cycle so that you can optimize your mood, your energy, and your productivity. Anna is literally like the one that I go to in this space. She's amazing. I just saw her face pop up as a bubble. Welcome, Anna. I was just mentioning how you are coming on today. So I'm going to invite you on now, and we'll see how this goes. Hello to everybody else who's coming in the room. Say hello. So let's try this. There you are. Add. She's being added. Thank you for your patience. Connecting. Yes, connecting. We did it.
Hello.
Hi. Sorry if
Hi.
I was confusing there for a minute. I had to restart the live.
No problem. No problem at all.
Okay.
I don't know where to look.
I like looking in the camera, like as if you were to take a picture, and then you're kind of like looking into the eyes of the people. But then when I'm talking, you look at me. That's kind of what I do. I look at you when you're talking, and then look in the camera when I speak.
Right. Yeah. I usually look in the camera hole, but because Facebook wants me to be sideways today, I'm like, where's my camera? Where is it? I think it's there. There it is. Okay, well, here we go. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Anna. Thank you so much for being here.
Hello. Oh, it's a pleasure. I always enjoy the time I get to spend with you.
I completely agree. It like fills my cup.
Same.
Awesome. Well, hey, Sherry, I see Sherry's in the room. Sherry has a lot of questions about hormones, I'm sure, so feel free to bring them at any time, sweetheart. But we're going to be going through that today. I'm really excited. So before we kind of dive into the good stuff, why don't you tell us a bit about you, who you are, what you do?
All right. Well, as you said, I'm Anna Herendeen. I currently live in Charlotte, North Carolina, but I grew up in Wisconsin, so I've milked cows. I've lived on the dairy farm. My mom still does. I lived in Peru for a year. I taught English to students in Lima, Peru. Fabulous experience.
So awesome.
I also taught high school Spanish for like 12 years in Northern Virginia, and now I'm here. So I have moved around. I've lived a lot of places. I absolutely love traveling. I also love putting ketchup on my mac and cheese. And I love putting grape jelly on my eggs. And I know, right? You're like,
what?
Yeah. If you've ever had, like, you want eggs and toast, you make your toast and you put grape jelly on your toast and slap a fried egg on there. It's the best. It got me through college. Yeah.
Have to try that one.
Yeah. I have 2 kids. I have a cat, a husband. We all manage to keep each other alive. And, just I'm a pretty like easygoing, happy-go-lucky person.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. Well, I love everything that you're doing with hormones and menstruation and all these things for women. I'm loving everything you're bringing forward too with your like Wonder Woman club that like
I know, it's the best.
so deeply.
It's so the best. Yeah, the hormone thing, it's always interested me, and the more I've dug into this, the more I've realized that has always been interesting to me. I've always been curious about our bodies and how it works. I've always been tuned into my own body, and the more it turned it from a hobby into something that I now teach. And the value it brings to not just figuring out our physical body, but it ties into our emotional body, our spiritual body, our energetic body, our mental health, the way we live our lives. I was just talking, I went live in my group this morning, and I basically said, people experience these menstrual difficulties, and they say, oh, if I could just get rid of my PMS, life would be great. If I could just get rid of XYZ, life would be great. But really, it's deeper than that. It's what they're experiencing is impacting the quality of their life. So they're not looking for PMS to go away. They're looking for the ability to not spend 24 days of their year in bed with being miserable. They want to live their life to the fullest. And you teach a way to help get them from being stuck in the kitchen to being proficient and just so peaceful and calm in the kitchen, because that's part of the quality of life they're looking for. And I help you figure out your hormone cycle and how to optimize it so that you can have the energy you want to live the lifestyle you want, to have the moods you want, so you're not a crazy maniac half the month, not knowing which way is up or down, and so that you can be productive in your life, like literally so you can accomplish your goals, so you can live out your dreams. And that's why I do what I do. Just hormones are just the vocabulary in this language of life, and that's where I found my niche.
Beautiful. I love it. And you shine here. It's so awesome. And I feel like our work just like complements each other so deeply, because we realize there could be these like seeming problems like in the kitchen or with the hormones, but it all comes back to everything from the mental, emotional, spiritual wellness being totally integrated as the whole. That's it. I resonate with everything. That's so awesome. So the place where I wanted to start with this, because when you started teaching on this, I was like, how did I not know this? But the idea of different phases of our cycle, like, can you go through like what those different phases are, maybe what they mean, and what like might be happening on the inside when we're going through those different phases?
100%. And yes, when I first ran into this, like, what? How did no wise woman in my life ever like skip teaching me this?
I know.
It's because they didn't know either.
Yeah.
Okay, it's just they didn't know. Um, Menstruating humans, period people, will often refer to their cycle as literally just the days that they're bleeding, that they're menstruating. And so, that becomes the stereotype of what women's hormones are. Oh, it's the crabby days a little bit before, and then, oh, you're on your period. Our hormone cycle is way more than that. Literally every day we have a slightly different hormonal body. And when we realize what our hormonal body is for that day or week or phase, we can go, oh, this is why I'm feeling the way I'm feeling. This is why my energy, my mood, my productivity is a little different than it was last week or 3 days ago. It's literally of a different body. You do. I'll get into the specifics in a second. Our society teaches us that we should be kind of like machines, where we're going to run the same way every single day. We wake up, we produce, we engage, we interact, we go to sleep, over and over and over. We're taught that we should be the same person yesterday as we are today, and if not, better than we were before. A male hormonal body can do that more easily because they have the same hormones cycle every day. In fact, their hormone cycle is around 24 hours. Ours is around 28 days. So give yourself a break.
Yeah.
Give yourself a break. All right, so the menstrual phase is actually the first phase of our cycle, day one, when we start our bleeding, and then it ends when our bleeding stops. That's called our menstrual phase. After the menstrual phase, we enter what is called the follicular phase. Follicular comes from the word follicle, and what is happening in our body during the follicular phase is our body is rising in estrogen, which helps with a couple other hormones to mature the egg in the ovary that's going to then pop out at ovulation. So follicular phase, it's all about nurturing that ovary and nurturing the follicle. Okay, so ovulation happens. That's our ovulatory phase. It can be between 3 and 5 days. Go ahead. I can't get it for you right now in just a minute, okay? My daughter's on the floor. Your ovulatory phase can last between 3 and 5 days, and it's during that time that the egg is released. The fallopian tubes kind of sweep it up, and it goes into the fallopian tubes basically. Conception can occur during that time, slightly before, slightly after. Once ovulation happens, you enter what is the longest phase of your cycle, which is called the luteal phase. The luteal phase happens like after ovulation occurs, and then the last day of it is when you get your next period, or the day before your next period. So that is your entire hormone cycle: menstrual, follicular, ovulatory, luteal. And the way you experience life is very different depending on what part of that phase you're in. I do want to mention that estrogen rises during that menstrual/follicular phase. It peaks at ovulation, and it's going to drop after ovulation with a very slight surge right before you get your period. So estrogen's high in that first half of the cycle, and it's low in the second. This is so cool about our bodies. So stinking cool. Do you know that the follicle your egg matured in, after the egg pops out at ovulation, that follicle converts into being a hormone producing gland, and that's
Whoa,
what produces your progesterone.
that's
So if
like
you
miraculous.
It's miraculous. Yep. And it produces your progesterone. And if pregnancy doesn't occur, it will basically just self deteriorate and get reabsorbed into your tissues and stuff. Um, and that's why progesterone drops right before your period, because pregnancy didn't occur. So the body doesn't need progesterone to maintain that pregnancy. So if you're you menstruated, if your estrogen levels are rising and all the other things are in line, you will ovulate. Once ovulation occurs, you'll start to produce progesterone. When that progesterone starts to decline, you'll get your period again. So irregular cycles aren't just a matter of like, oh, I don't know when my period's coming, or I don't know, like, why is my period 7 days, or why, like, there's a whole bunch of things. I guess I'm not going to rabbit trail down into there, but understanding that that's the optimized way a female hormone cycle works is great, because then we can start to work our bodies towards that.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Can you maybe touch upon like when you're saying like the estrogen's higher, the progesterone's low or
Mm-hmm.
whatnot? What does that do to the emotions in our body? Like,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, like that's a big
Okay.
one. I'm bringing this
Yeah,
on
it's
you
a
in the
big one.
moment, but I want to know. Yeah.
Okay, so at the beginning of your period, both progesterone and estrogen are low. And this time during your menstrual phase is what we like to call our winter season. During the winter, we want to go within, we're withdrawn, our energy is not very strong. It's really a time where it,
Oh, did we lose Anna? She was just getting going. Let's see if I can get her back on, y'all. I still see her face. So let's try and get her on again. Thank you for your patience, everyone. Technical difficulties. Says adding. Doo-doo-doo-doo. Anna, can you hear me? Can you like put a comment in the thing and let me know if you see this? Maybe logging off and logging back on might be helpful. Who else is in the room? Sherry, can you hear me, dear? Can you just let me know if you can hear me? If I'm still working and I'm still up, it says I'm live on my end, but who knows? Anybody else in the room who can hear me? Could you just say yes? That would be great. I'm going to try getting Anna one more time. I'm going to wave to her, and then I'm going to add her on. I'll have to read that, Sherry. Thank you for writing. I can hear you. Okay, beautiful. I'm glad that I'm still up at least. And you can hear me, so like awesome. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you for the you. So we'll just wait for Anna. I see that she logged off now. I don't see her face bubble anymore. So I'll just let her come on. Yeah, I look forward to, I'm going to read here what you were saying, Sherry, just so that I'll be able to relay that to Anna when she comes back in. So let's see. I'm here, she says. Oh, you are here. I don't see your face bubble up here anymore. That's weird. What is going on? Like, comment. No, I can't even like bring you on. It just says like, I can like you. You guys. Okay, let me try this one button at the bottom. And add. Oh my God, I could do it. Add. I think I did it. It's adding you, girlfriend. Yes.
Hello again.
My heart. What happened?
Literally, everything just went, and I have no idea. I don't know.
But I'm so glad you're back and we're still on this thread because there's comments and I want to keep it.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Keep going.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for your patience. I literally don't know what happened. I'm not touching anything. Okay. So I was saying, like, the menstrual phase is kind of like our winter. We're retreating in. Progesterone and estrogen are really low at that time. So you probably are not going to feel super social. You're not going to feel super like being cuddly and touchy with people. You're really just going to want to like be by yourself and just deal with the things, okay? It's a great time for journaling, for reflecting on the past month, all that. Okay, so as you approach the end of your period, your estrogen starts to rise. Estrogen means energy.
Yeah, okay.
Most menstruating humans feel the best between the end of their period and just a little bit after ovulation, because that's when estrogen is high. Estrogen is what makes you feel sexy. It makes your skin great. Most people will find their skin clears up if it hasn't already during that time. You're going to feel like socializing, networking, being on phone calls. You're going to want to be creative. If you are working an online business, like your content is going to flow super well. Communication will be easy. It's just like the best time. And do you know why? Because your body is optimizing you to attract the opposite sex for reproductive purposes. If you are energetic, if your skin is great, you're communicating well, you're feeling frisky, all of that just raises the chances for reproduction. And at a biological level, our bodies want to survive and reproduce. Okay, so ovulation occurs, estrogen drops. This is when progesterone starts to kick in. Oh, by the way, follicular phase is your springtime, and ovulatory time is your summer. So it kind of makes sense. Think of how you roll through the seasons, how you feel in those different seasons. Luteal phase, so after ovulation, is your fall. So you're going to start to feel that energy declining. Your desire for physical intimacy, social interaction, communication is going to decline. Also, your ability to kill it in those workouts will be declining. Your body just hormonally doesn't support that. It's not what you want to do. At a biological level, if conception happened during ovulation, your body does not want to put itself at risk. Sure. At risk for survival. Right. It doesn't want you doing those risky activities. It wants you to retreat and to start to slow things down and draw more inward, because that protects the new life that could possibly be inside you. Also during that time, your energy is getting lower and lower and lower, because there's not as much available energy for other activities. Your body's using your energy to produce more blood. It is lining the lining of the uterus with more blood. You literally create more blood during the second half of your phase. It's not reallocated, it's created. Your blood volume also increases. The nutrients, your body is storing nutrients so that in case there is a pregnancy, it is more viable, because there's nutrient availability. The health of the mother supports the health of the baby. There's also, it burns fat better during that time. There's just, I mean, there's applications in every area. So as you are approaching your period, you're going to find that you come from like the high of summer, you go through fall, and then you're going to be back to your winter time. So you literally your moods will be different, your energy is different, your productivity is different, your way you work out is different, the foods you're craving are different because you need different nutrients at different times of the month. Your sleep changes, your digestion changes, everything.
Oh, this is so important. And I found, like, as I started to absorb this information, that like I have structured my business around it, right? Like that's why right now, like I'm in my high energy zone, like I could do this, but then when I'm finished, I'm going into my menstruation zone, and so I'm just gonna chill. You know, I'm just gonna let my body do its thing. And so I really noticed that if I can align my goals, align my work, align my duties in life around my cycle, I'm a much better person.
Yes.
Like I'm not forcing things, like they just flow because I'm in alignment with my flow. It's amazing.
High five, girl. High five.
Honey. Thank you.
Exactly. Yep.
And I'm going up to some comments because I saw some feels important. So
all right, let's talk comments.
Awesome. Sherry says, I know I have low progesterone. My cycle, however, is 35 to 40 days, and I find myself worse after my period, anxiety, etc. I also have PCOS. Why is it worse after my period instead of before? Anything to help this would be great.
Sure. I mean, obviously, I'm not a medical doctor, and I don't know anything about your personal medical history, but off the top of my head, the rapid rise and fall of hormones can trigger a different reaction in your neurotransmitters, which are like the messenger systems in your brains, which directly impact serotonin and dopamine. So it may not be directly like I have low progesterone or I have high estrogen. It sometimes can be the rise and fall of that makes your brain not as receptive to serotonin and dopamine. Serotonin and dopamine are the hormones that make you feel good and that make you feel safe. that make you feel peaceful and calm. In some people, the rise and fall of these hormones trigger that bad neurotransmitter reaction. In fact, in some cases, it gets so severe that you might start having thoughts of harming yourself. It can trigger intense anxiety. It can trigger depression. It can trigger bipolar disorder in a more extreme version that time of the month than other times of the month. I just want you to know that you're not crazy, and it's not like you aren't doing what you're supposed to be doing. It's an internal process that's gone wonky. It's really hard to predict who will suffer from that, who will struggle with it. Research has said that it's kind of random. There's really no way to predict, and they suspect that there's underlying genetic code that makes some people more predisposed to that than others. If you do find yourself in that situation where you're like every month, like clockwork, for like a week or two, I turn into a horrible person and I want to do bad things to myself, talk to your doctor about PMDD. Okay, PMDD is a extreme version of PMS, and there are holistic and medicinal treatments that they can use to help you navigate that. There's also medicines out there that will help your serotonin receptors in your brain to work better. And again, obviously I can't, prescribe those to you, but those are things you can talk to your doctor about. What can you do to help support your body with kind of preparing for that normalcy that you're noticing, oh, I seem to have this really low mood and it's like 2 to 3 days into my period. And you also have low progesterone. So if progesterone is low already and your estrogen is taking a while to build, like when you're first in your period, it means that you have low estrogen and low progesterone for a longer period of time than most quote unquote normal cycles. So what you can do to support that is literally just help your body support the regulation and production of your estrogen and progesterone. And most of the time, unless you're going to get biochemically identical hormones, which, I mean, they're as close as they can get, but it is what it is. You got to support it through diet and lifestyle. Okay, and I think we're going to talk about one of those here in a few minutes.
Yes, we are.
Yep.
And I'm talking all about meals tomorrow, and I'm making sure that I keep everything that you say and your research in mind when I'm talking about the meals. And that's something that is profoundly helpful as well.
Perfect.
Awesome. Amazing. Thank you for your question, Sherry. And yes, I'm glad it resonates with you too, Rachel. This stuff is amazing. Okay, so let's keep going. So one of the questions that I've gotten a lot is what are some of the best tips for re-regulating hormones after you have babies?
Okay, after the babies. I remember after I had my first, oh gosh, the night sweats. I would literally wake up and I would be totally soaking wet. I'd have to lay down towels and then lay on top of those because I didn't want to change the sheets in the middle of the night because the baby's in the room, and so the husband and all that. And I also remember just crying for no reason. And my armpits were stinky. My sweat was extra ridiculous. The hormonal changes after you have a child are no joke. No joke. But I do want to help us reframe our thinking on this a little bit. He just said re-regulating our hormones. Our hormones are regulated during pregnancy. It's not like pregnancy was a dysregulation. The body, when you're pregnant, has a beautiful hormonal system and symmetry to, grow, nurture, and expel that baby, right? Bring it out into the world. What we struggle with and why we think our hormones are dysregulated is because we don't know what to do with that transition time of the transitioning from our hormonal state during pregnancy to regular, 28, 30-day cycles again. And it's that in-between time that we really struggle with. If we don't treat that in-between time with a lot of honor, respect, and care, our cycles are not going to regulate as quickly or as easily or even as optimized as they could be once you do start getting your period again. Throw on top of that breastfeeding, because that's a different hormonal body, and then weaning. I mean, you've got a lot of stuff going on. But I want you to understand that your body is not dysregulated after you have a baby. It's in transition, and even in that there is beauty. I mean, we can go through all of that. We go through all of that, and we still are. I mean, and then we manage to create another human and then keep it alive. It's mind blowing.
Superheroes.
Superheroes. But for, then the question is, well, how do we honor that time? How do we love and care and honor ourselves and nurture our body through that transition and during that transition? There's a lot you can do, but for the sake of today, to keep it within reasonable time limits here, the number one thing you can do is eat. Eat. And you're like, what? How could it be that simple? Think back to when you were pregnant, or when you were pregnant, you were really careful to make sure you were eating and that you were, taking care of your body. Hopefully you were doing that. We can't stop doing that once the baby's out. The reason we do is because it's the care for our child is now external actions. It's not kind of internal. So we spend so much of our time and energy taking care of that baby. And we also oftentimes are still working, caring for other children, taking care of, elderly family members. We're taking care of spouses. We're trying to take care of ourselves. And it becomes so much that we just don't eat. We skip meals. Dysregulated blood sugar is the number one place to start if you think that you have dysregulated hormones. You've got to eat. Eating provides stable blood sugar because it provides stable energy to every single little beautiful cell in your body. And if you deprive those beautiful cells of their energy source, or you're providing them with energy that is not good, then like energy sources that aren't healthy for you, you're literally like shooting yourself in the foot. You're punching holes in your car's tires. You're taking out the carburetor, whatever those are called. Okay?
Something like that.
So you have to eat. Ideally, we're eating every 3 to 4 hours. And we cannot skip breakfast. We cannot skip lunch. We cannot skip dinner. We need to put food in our bodies in between those meals as well. Dysregulated blood sugar is the number one trigger outside of stress for wacky hormones. Our bodies want to stay alive. And if we have unpredictable food supply, right, our bodies are going to go into stress mode. And instead of burning and using energy efficiently, it will actually start to store it because it's afraid we won't get more. Then we have extra cortisol in our bloodstream, which our liver has to deal with. One of the liver's main functions is clearing excess estrogen out of our bloodstream. We have to clear it once it's been used and it's been circulated. If your liver is too busy dealing with junk food, toxins, pesticides, excess cortisol, and all the other stuff that just comes in through our air and all of that, it's not going to have time to deal with and resources to deal with that excess estrogen. Excess estrogen in your bloodstream and your system if it can't get out through the liver's process, it gets stored inside of fat cells. And that's why females will often have extra weight that doesn't budge around their thighs, midsections, and tummies, and it ends up turning into visceral fat if it needs to go someplace else. Fat cells that store estrogens produce estrogen, so now you have excess estrogen in your system again. It's this really ridiculous cycle. It is thought that it's a estrogen-dominant body that is one of the causes of PCOS and endometriosis. So if you're already experiencing PCOS and endometriosis, you've reached the peak of like this disorder and this dysregulation. There's a lot you can do to help nurture your body with medicine and holistic practices, but it literally starts with every day, every meal. That's what you got to do. Eat.
Yep.
Yes. And Britney is a brilliant resource for the next question. Well, what do I eat?
Yeah.
Just eat what she tells you. All the things she tells you to eat are exactly what your hormones need. So to bring that point in, to close it up, our bodies want to survive. And if we are denying our bodies, well, I'm hitting my microphone. If we're denying our bodies the basic resource of nutrients, our bodies will not prioritize reproduction because they're like, we can't worry about reproduction right now because we're worried about survival. And then it won't put resources and energy into your estrogen rise and fall, your progesterone, your ovulation cycles, and then you're going to have like stupid, weird periods. And you're going to have all those warning signs, those symptoms, the PMS, all of that stuff. Outside of that, like dopamine, serotonin thing I was talking about, there's not a ton you could do with that if you really have that chemical imbalance during that time of the month, that you can treat with just food. So just eat. And it's every day, every meal.
Yes, yes. And thank you for saying that, because I will be talking a whole entire talk tomorrow about all the things that people can eat. Because I feel like that's the biggest question that comes to me. What do I eat? And we're not really educated on what to eat, just like we're not educated on our hormones. And like, so this stuff is like essential for a life well lived, and aligning everything that we need, from our thoughts to our emotions to our cycle. So important, so important. Okay, second last question here. A lot of women have also mentioned to me, like and we've kind of already touched upon this, so maybe we don't even need to go too deep into it, but just the idea of like the crazy thoughts and the emotions and like the stress that comes up before or during or after our period. Would you say that that is normal? And if so, or if not, is there anything that people can do about it? Meals is one thing, but anything else?
Yeah. Yes. When we've already kind of talked about the extreme, right? The extreme of like PMDD and like the neurotransmitters and stuff. There's also a middle ground where we get told that it's just how it is. Like, oh, welcome to being a woman. This is how it's going to be every month. Or like, I mean, in high school, like boys are mean and in high school, and the girls too. Like, nobody would ever want to announce that they were on their period, but you got teased if you were crabby. If you were having a bad day, the boys not sometimes were like, what, you're like getting your period soon? Right? I mean 12, 13, 14-year-old boys are aware that this is so common that it's considered normal. And it is, you do not have to accept it as normal. It's very common. So people just think, oh, that's the way it is. That's the way it's supposed to be. For me personally, starting to do something called seed cycling really helped support that 3 to 5 days of moodiness, irritability, impatience, just disgusted with myself, guilt because I was just letting it out on my family. I was having a hard time sleeping, like just all the things. And I started seed cycling. And over the course of 3 months, that pretty much went away.
Explain more about seed cycling.
Okay.
What is this?
Sure. So I will get to that in 1 second.
Oh, sure.
But that's okay, because I'll lead into it.
Okay.
The way you experience your current phase of your cycle is very dependent on how you nurtured and safeguarded and supported yourself in the previous phase. Okay, you've got to pre-plan this. You've got to treat yourself well in your menstrual phase so your follicular phase is supported. During follicular, so your ovulatory, it's on and on, it's cyclical. If you don't give your body the proper nutrient support and rest during one phase, you will not have a great experience during the second. Your body is not a microwave. Okay, it's not like, oh, it's time to ovulate, beep, 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 ding. Okay, it's an oven, and there's other analogies for that too. We get it. Right, but your body needs time, and it needs to adjust. Any sort of changes you're doing to impact your hormones, just give it a minimum of 3 full cycles or 3 months before you can even expect to see, results. You'll have incremental ones if you're pretty observant about your body, but 3 to 6 months, I mean, it is not uncommon for this to take a year. And that is normal. It's normal. We don't fix these things overnight. So what's one thing you can do besides eating regularly that's stupid simple, that's highly impactful on your hormonal health? It's seed cycling, because you do it every day. Every day. So your body's getting the things it needs every day, so you end up having more pleasant future phases. So seed cycling is a holistic health theory that says that you basically, there's 4 seeds that you eat, and you're going to rotate or cycle these into specific times of your hormone cycle. So there's 2 specific types of seeds you eat from day 1 of your period until when you ovulate. Then you switch to 2 other seeds that you eat from when you ovulate until you get to your next period. If your cycle's pretty regulated, it'll be about like, 2 weeks-ish on the first two seeds and then 2 weeks-ish on the second types of seeds. If you're like, well, I don't even know when I'm ovulating, then we need to have another conversation. Okay. If you're like, well, my period's like every 40 days, like how do I how what I have a seed cycling masterclass that goes into all of this. You're welcome to check out on my website, which I think is linked below. It's $22. It's stupid, simple, and super cheap. I just really want to get it into as many hands as I can so that people can learn about seed cycling. But why do we do it? Why seeds? The amazing things about these seeds is they provide fiber, which your gut needs to bind with the hormones your liver is kicking out. So if your liver's doing its jobs, but it doesn't find like fiber to bind it to, then it doesn't get out of the body. Okay, so it provides a really good source of fiber. The vitamin and mineral profiles of each of these seeds match up very well with the exact vitamins and nutrients that your body needs in the endocrine glands that are responsible for estrogen and progesterone. Okay, so it literally helps support the production and regulation of the levels of these hormones in your body. The seeds also, because they're nutrient dense, they have really great source of omega oils, which your body needs. Your progesterone must have omegas, you need to eat fat during your luteal phase. Avocados, coconut oil, you've got to eat fat. Okay. Sorry, I just got distracted. Anyway, these seeds all provide these really great sources of exactly what your body needs during that time of the month. There's ways that you can use the seeds to help bring your cycles into like shorter time periods. Like if you're at a 40-day, you can start to nurture it more towards that 28 or 30. If you're having wild, unpredictable, you can also like help your body to sync up by using these seeds. Menstruating humans with PCOS, so endometriosis, also find them really helpful because the flare-ups, the pain is triggered by estrogen. So helping to regulate that estrogen is also super important in your body. Also, this is a freebie. I know this is all freebies, but get red meat out of your diet. If you have any sort of hormonal issues, don't touch a piece of red meat for the rest of your life. Red meat comes with a lot of hormones. Cows, I grew up in a dairy farm, right? Cows, their reproductive cycles are extremely close to humans. Dairy farmers could probably explain the female hormone cycle to you better than anybody else because they know what their cows are going through, and farmers need to keep track of those things. Estrogen that the cows are producing in anticipation of their ovulation, the estrogen gets stuck in the meat. Estrogen doesn't just stay in your blood; it literally goes system-wide. It breaks the blood-brain barrier. It goes into muscles. So any meat that is harvested from a cow that has a hormone cycle, you will be getting some estrogen from that animal into your body. So, going plant-based is really amazing. Not everybody wants to do that. But if you want to still eat meat, get rid of every single bit of your red meat that you currently have in your diet. There are other options.
There are other options, and that's really important. And I had to go through that shift too. So I will also bring forward all that information tomorrow and all this because this is, oh my God, so important. Thank you so much for everything here. The last thing I wanted to ask you here, like, are there any books or resources that you would recommend people to get more in touch with their cycle?
Oh, 100%, yes. One of them, I'll just show it here. It's called Woman Code.
Yeah.
Okay, it's by Alyssa Vitti. And my Facebook community, which is called The Wonder Woman, we help you unlock the power of your hormones and supercharge your feminine energy. So yeah, we're woo in there and we love it. But we're also really serious about the science too. So it's science and woo. Woman Code is, it just literally says on the title, this will help you perfect your cycle, amplify your fertility, supercharge your sex drive, and become a power source. She goes into, remember how I said blood sugar regulation is one of the top things you do? That's just step one of her 5-step protocol, and I follow this protocol and it works. So we in my free Facebook community are doing basically a book club together. We're reading this book together, breaking up in little segments each week. My co-host and I, Kelly, we are directing discussion questions. We have like a weekly Zoom call. We have discussion questions. We are doing some card readings, like just a whole bunch of fun stuff in there. So you're welcome to join us over there and get on the fun. We just started today with segment 1, so you're right on time. Or you could just buy the book and read it yourself. Either way, it's fine. It's called Women Code. If you happen to be on a hormonal birth control right now, and you're like, I really don't want to be on birth control, I'd like to get off of it, but I'm not sure what's going to happen to my body if I get off of it because I got on birth control because of all these wacko symptoms I was experiencing, the best book I recommend for that is called Beyond the Pill. And I don't remember the author, but it's called Beyond the Pill. And that will really help you to know how to transition off the pill if that's the right decision for you. If you're worried about it like you're using it actually for birth control, there are so many other options out there that are non-hormonal or low hormonal. That's a discussion you need to have with your partner, with your doctor, to make sure that you find out what is the best solution for you. I personally use the copper IUD because I have a very bad reaction to synthetic hormones coming into my body. So I've chosen that one for my birth control. There are some negatives, but the positives for me outweigh the negatives, so that's the decision I've made for my body and my current situation. So it's literally just talk to your doctor and do some exploration. If you're like, I don't even know what birth controls are out there, like which ones are hormonal, which ones aren't. If you do a Google search for Planned Parenthood and birth control, they have amazing resources like graphics that literally like show you all the options out there. They don't recommend or disrecommend anything, but it's a great information source so you can see what the options are, because some of us don't want to be pregnant.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Just like me. I know. I'm done.
Yes, I'm done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
I don't know. But this is all awesome. I wanted to mention too to everybody that I took your PDF for seed cycling, and I've attached it above. All of your links are above so people can find you. That's your free resources gift, everybody. And then one person in this group tomorrow is going to get the chance to win her seed cycling program, and I think that's really important to put out there because what you offer is invaluable, and it's needed for us as women, as mothers, to know this, so we can then pass it along to our children when they go through this, and hopefully avoid all the negative side effects of not knowing this information.
Yep.
Like
absolutely. I have 2 daughters, and they're 5 and 7, and we're making a switch to a more plant-based diet because the effects of animal meat on hormones start now. They started 5 years ago with my kids, and it's really important to help protect their fertility and protect their hormone system so that when they do start going through puberty and they do get into those reproductive years, that they don't run into the problems we've run into because the parents failed to educate or failed to provide the best situation possible to optimize their fertility and hormone cycles. So you can seed cycle your teenager. If you start to see them like, you're like, oh, the moody teenagers, you can start to seed cycle them because you can sync it up with the moon. Even if they're not menstruating, you can sync it up with the moon cycles. And I recommend seed cycling for like, see, I used to say females, but not all females menstruate, and not everyone who menstruates is female. So I like to say period people or menstruating humans, but if you have a menstruating human that isn't quite menstruating yet, like, your 12-year-old or your 8-year-old, you can start them seed cycling because it's going to help them transition through puberty in a more gentle way. You can also seed cycle when you're in perimenopause and in menopause. The nutritional benefits of it alone are beyond amazing, and I recommend it for every human that has female hormones.
So much, yes. And even my 5-year-old daughter, and even this morning, I gave her some kefir and her cereal, and I added a bit of chia seeds and flaxseed into that. And she's been used to this since she was a little kid. And so, that's part of, what I try and incorporate, too. I always think about how can I up the nutrition? And it just so happens that in upping the nutrition, you're seed cycling naturally, I guess, and caring for every aspects of your body, mind, and brain, right?
Yep.
So,
yeah, 100%.
Awesome. Well, Anna, tell us where more people can find you.
Okay.
If they want to connect and reach out.
Sure. Well, the place I am most active is actually in my Facebook community. So that's the place that I'd say number one, you should come and jump over. It's called the Wonder Woman Club. I think that's linked here somewhere. The second place you can find me is on my website, which is annaherendeen.podia.com. It has my freebies, my courses, my offers, my one-on-one coaching, all the things over there. And I'm trying to think what else. I feel like there was something else. I can't remember. I'm on my Facebook profile a lot too. So
I've got all your links above anyway. They're all up there.
Yeah.
No. Awesome. Well, Anna, thank you so much for your time. And thank you to everybody who listened today. If anybody's looking at this after and you have further questions, I'm sure Anna can come on and answer them. So put them down in the comments. There's so much to this topic. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your wisdom. And I love connecting with you.
Same. All right. Thank you everybody for allowing me this space to come and share my stuff with you. I appreciate the energy you shared, and felt like this was a really happy, positive vibe place. So I appreciate you. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.